Good morning. It's July 23rd, and this is your daily brief in science. Here's everything you need to know. A potential exosatellite around a brown dwarf could redefine how we classify worlds beyond our solar system. Using radial velocity measurements from the Very Large Telescope, researchers tracked the brown dwarf CD-352722b for more than 2 years, across 23 observations, and found a periodic wobble that points to a moon-like companion rather than a planet orbiting a star. Lead author Kevin Hoy and colleagues, including Alice Zerlo, published their findings in Nature, noting that Nature's classifications don't always line up with human-made categories. The detected wobble is described as a robust candidate, clearer and harder to dismiss than similar signals in other systems, though confirmation depends on further data and analysis. The paper discusses that this method could enable future exomoon detections around less massive targets as instrumentation advances. If confirmed, this would potentially be the first documented exomoon, though additional observations are required for formal verification. The study emphasizes that, as discoveries grow, the terminology for moons beyond the solar system may need updating. Researchers anticipate that upcoming instruments will enhance detection capabilities. The European Southern Observatory's ELT is expected to increase light collecting power by about 20 times, enabling deeper surveys. Hoy states the ELT will help uncover more exomoons and refine discovery methods through its greater light-gathering capability, with future observations planned to reveal more candidates. The findings raise questions about how common exomoons might be and how many exotic multi-body systems exist beyond our solar system, a topic Nature notes as central to advancing our understanding of planetary formation. Published July 22nd in Nature, the story highlights the challenge of defining moons beyond the solar system and the need for updated terminology as discoveries grow. A European drought crisis is intensifying as heat drives rapid soil and water evaporation across the continent. A World Weather Attribution study involving institutions from Imperial College London to ETH Zurich and the German Weather Service finds soils are extremely dry, 5 times more likely in Western Europe and 11 times more likely in Eastern Europe today versus a 1.4 degrees cooler baseline, with evaporative demand in Western Europe about 80 times higher from April to June. The study compares current conditions to a world 1.4 degrees cooler since 1850 to 1900. And notes droughts begin to emerge around that level of warming, with the prospect that at 2.8 degrees warming, intense evaporation-driven droughts could become regular. Initial findings were AI-generated, but were then verified by a human editorial team. Historical crop losses linked to these droughts could push up food prices and disproportionately affect low-income households. A wet winter followed by a dry spring heightened forest fire risk and set the stage for drier conditions to come. The UN climate chief emphasizes that worsening droughts affect food prices, energy systems, and inland transport, underscoring broader societal impacts of the climate crisis. Researchers explain that higher temperatures worsen drought risk even if precipitation remains the same or increases, because soils lose moisture faster. The analysis focuses on 12 European countries, comparing rainfall deficits, potential evapotranspiration, and soil moisture to quantify exposure. Ongoing emission trajectories will determine how frequently and intensely droughts recur, with projections suggesting droughts could become regular events, roughly every 5 years, and potentially double in likelihood at 2.8 degrees of warming. A bold new effort is underway to save Florida's elkhorn coral by moving 30 genotypes from coastal nurseries to an onshore hatchery in Key Biscayne. Researchers aim to shield these endangered corals from an anticipated mass bleaching event tied to warming waters. The elkhorn population has been decimated by 2023 to 2024 heat waves, leaving wild colonies too sparse to reproduce and effectively extinct in the wild. This initiative is part of a broader coral recovery mission led by Rosenstiel School researchers at the University of Miami to protect elkhorn corals from heat stress and recent bleaching. The plan represents a conservation strategy to prevent extinction by relocating samples to controlled environments for propagation and potential reintroduction. By collecting diverse fragments, keeping them moist, and housing them in controlled tanks, the effort seeks to preserve genetic diversity and safeguard original genetic information if wild populations collapse. teams are collaborating with other researchers and facilities to exchange corals, building a broad genetic reservoir in nurseries and hatcheries to bolster resistance to disease, temperature changes, and acidification. Experts say maintaining genetic diversity increases the odds of developing disease resistance, temperature resilience, and acidification tolerance in future populations. This work forms part of ongoing climate-driven declines in coastal ecosystems and reflects a broader push to shield coral reefs from warming and environmental stressors. Researchers including Dalton Hesley and Diego Learman describe the preservation campaign as essential to keeping any chance of recovering Florida's elkhorn populations. An onshore hatchery is being used to better control conditions and guard against mass bleaching threats as water temperatures rise. A Nature study reports the first known case of a transmissible cancer in fish, observed as melanoma-like tumors in brown bullhead catfish from Lake Memphremagog spanning Quebec and Vermont. The tumors contain cells that are similar across different fish, suggesting a transmissible cancer rather than independent tumors. Researchers say the exact transmission mechanism remains unknown, with hypotheses pointing to opportunities during spawning or environmental reservoirs, and questions about how the cancer evades immune defenses. This work builds on prior transmissible cancers in dogs, Tasmanian devils, and certain bivalves, but marks a newly demonstrated case in fish. Although not a direct human health threat, the findings could inform cancer research and immunology by showing how cancers might adopt parasite-like life cycles through genomics. Investigations are also considering environmental factors such as elevated metals, arsenic, and PFAS as possible contributors to susceptibility, though causal links have not been proven. The study finds no specific viral or microbial pathogen. The tumor cells themselves appear to be the transmissible agent, not an external pathogen, and whole genome sequencing supports a clonal relationship across hosts. Arsenic exposure and spawning-related hormonal changes may influence susceptibility, and researchers plan broader sampling to understand spread and origins. Experts say the study has broad implications for cancer biology, including immune evasion, cross-host invasion, and potential relevance to human cancer research in the future. The discussion emphasizes comparing transmission modes across species and the need for wider sampling to understand origin, spread, ecological impact, and potential containment. The study raises the possibility that transmissible cancers might be more common than previously thought, warranting further investigation. Overall, whole genome sequencing shows tumor cells are clonally related across fish and differ from hosts, supporting a transmissible cancer and indicating transmission may occur during grouping or contact in spawning. A CE marking for Science Corporation's Prima device could open a path to a vision-restoring implant for geographic atrophy, a development that stands to shift how central vision is treated. The subretinal photovoltaic implant sits under the atrophic macula and works with specialized glasses that project near-infrared light, stimulating retinal cells to restore functional central vision and even enable a zoom function for reading. In trials, patients gained about 25.5 ETDRS letters on average, with 84% able to read letters, numbers, or words, and 80% reaching at least 0.2 logmar by 12 months, p less than 0.001. The device does not erase residual natural vision but rather aims to improve it, pairing the implant with near-infrared light to electrical stimulation. Science acquired Pixium in 2024 to advance Prima, and the company is pursuing a holistic revenue model targeting around $100 million annually, with initial German trials underway. In the United States, Prima remains investigational and is awaiting FDA approval, though it holds FDA breakthrough device designation. CE marking is seen by the company as a milestone for restored detailed form vision and expanded access, while clinicians report the device's ability to restore functional central vision in trials. The roadmap includes ongoing enhancements to vision capabilities and the accompanying glasses, aiming for a more integrated AR-like experience with better on-device computation and power efficiency. Costs are expected to be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, with reimbursement negotiations ongoing across Europe and a possible Germany rollout as soon as September. Regulatory developments continue in the US and Europe, with leadership background and founder experience shaping the company's path and investor interest, driving a funding total above $490 million, including a $230 million Series C. This has been your Daily Brief in Science. To read more about these stories, follow the links in the episode bio. You can also subscribe to these updates via email at www.brief.news. For more daily podcasts about the topics you love, visit brief.news/podcasts. Tune in tomorrow. We'll be back with everything you need to know.